Hi there, and welcome to this Lane4You YouTube channel where we try and build a community to share in this time of the disruption of COVID-19. So welcome to my home. This is where I do some of the work when I'm operating at home. So welcome in. My name's Rick. I'm part of the consultant team at Lane4. My main specialism is actually well-being and resilience. I suppose I've been studying this for the last probably 10 years or a little bit more. It's really trying to get curious around how we manage this thing called well-being and being resilient, especially around times of change. So with Lane4, part of our job about creating high-performance environments is we're often brought in to talk about well-being and resilience in times of change. So that's often our role. And oh my God, and what an incredible time now of change. This is a real opportunity, I guess, as I feel it personally as well, to really test some of this theory on how we improve our well-being, how we develop our resilience skills to try and manage things during a process of change like this. So when we talk about change, often the things we're talking about is how we get used to this shift between a change and a transition, and the difference between a change which can happen in a moment and the transition, which is the time it takes to get used to that change. And something often we can do about that is just, even if you do something as simple as folding your arms, and you can do this with me now, just have a go at folding your arms and just notice which arm is on top and which one is underneath. And if you just make a simple change of trying to shift and change the way you folded your arms, just have a notice what that feels like. It probably feels awkward. It probably feels a little bit weird. And this is the process of change. What we're trying to do here is understand the impact of changing habits. And something like COVID-19 has just caused massive disruption. It's caused a huge amount of change where we're seeing in such an accelerated period of time, we've seen almost the impossible and unthinkable become reality. So 2 months ago, we would never have thought about there being no sport, the kids being home from school, the majority of the population trying to work from home in this kind of period of socialization. And we would never have thought the government is actually going to be paying people 80% of their salaries through this period of furlough. So change is unprecedented. And I know we heard that quite as a cliche quite often now, but this sense that we are going through a process of rapid change, something which I've certainly never seen in my lifetime before, that of course is challenging our sense of well-being and how we manage it. This impossibility has now become the reality that we find ourselves navigating to. So just like trying to fold our arms in a different way, we are now trying to operate in a brand new sense of norm. And of course, that's going to have a challenge to our well-being. And it's now really time to put into practice these skills of resilience to kind of manage that. So when I talk about something like well-being, what I'm trying to talk about is almost that sense of you on your best day. So that version of when you feel energized, you feel alive, you're open-minded, and most importantly, you're good to be around. People notice it. So you feel alive, and people want to be connected to you. So that's that sense of well-being. And at times like this, it becomes even harder to access that. So we all know what it feels like. But if you, like me, are suddenly feeling that sometimes you haven't got access to that best version of yourself, then what we're trying to look at is how do we use these things called resilience to first of all notice that change and then do what we can to bring ourselves back so that we can be our best self, so we can make a positive impact on the people around us. So the good thing is it's perfectly normal, and I think we can to some extent predict the impact of this. Our brains are wired in such a way that we're trying to scan the environment, and when there is change or a sense of threat, then of course we recoil a little bit and we have to kind of figure out what's happening to try and make sense of it. So David Rock did some work. He's a kind of researcher and neuroscientist, and looked at 5 triggers that send us all and send that sense of fight, which takes us out of our sense of well-being. He was able to think about a thing called status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. So this idea of the SCARF model, or a SCARF framework to understand it. So if we take those each, like status, where we fit our sense of power, and suddenly I think we've given that all up to this tiny little virus, and suddenly certainly notice myself feeling powerless as I try and operate and thinking I don't even know what I'm fighting against. So certainty, there's massive uncertainty. We don't know what's happening. Rules are changing. The game is changing almost every day, almost every hour. So certainty has disappeared. So again, a natural trigger, a natural sense of knocking us out of our place of well-being. We like a sense of autonomy or sense of control. And at the moment, we're trying to look to our leaders and look to our government to try and provide understanding to know what to do. But this is a moment when really our sense of kind of power and personal capacity to manage this, of course, that's slightly compromised. The other one is relatedness, this sense of fitting into community, being part of a tribe. And of course, at the moment when we're isolating, we're living in our homes or with our families, and of course, we're isolated from other communities or other parts of our business. Of course, that's going to be a sense of anxiety as well. And the fifth one, perhaps a universal one for all humans, is this sense of fairness. So fairness about, and I don't know about you, but I've always had this sense that this type of thing, COVID, happens somewhere else. This doesn't happen to me. So if I feel my sense with a sense of why me, what's happening, then again, it's just noticing that's a natural human trigger. And these things are there to knock us, and are therefore to understand they will knock us from that place of centered well-being, and they will take us out to this idea of fight and flight. And some of our research is beginning to look at how people respond in times of change. So sometimes we talk about people shifting across to the right, and over here they perhaps become angry, they perhaps become annoyed, and a lot of the energy becomes outside of them. There's a lot of kind of defending themselves. Maybe it's taking it out on other people. Maybe it's being a little bit more dominant or aggressive. But equally, some people will shift across to the left, and that shift they may withdraw, they may feel like they want to run away, and begin to notice that again they're withdrawing and they're not getting part of conversations. Perhaps just isolate themselves further away from the problem and just hide away until perhaps it will go away. So this idea that we have a place where we can be at our best. So then sometimes we're knocked out and we become a little more. Sometimes we go out to be a little bit more submissive. Sometimes just in being able to notice where we are in this. Am I being able to hear? Am I connecting to others? Am I thinking clearly? You need to notice the agitation, and perhaps you notice your shoulders to up, and you perhaps go a little bit more dominant and aggressive, or perhaps you just notice yourself withdrawing and not wanting to be part of conversations. So just being able to notice where you are can be a really helpful remedy in terms of managing our own well-being. Because what we're trying to do is, if we find ourselves left or right, how do I bring myself back to this place of being centered? So the first thing we can do is just try to be quite forensic about noticing the different body language, the different thought patterns that can describe these different spaces. If we can begin to notice those, if we can become the observer of that mindset, then again, that provides a little bit of objectivity that allows us to find that space and hopefully find a pause when we can begin to navigate back to that best version of us. Another thing we can do is really here, it's really important to stay connected. Stay connected to our loved ones, stay connected into our support network, stay part of our community. There's all sorts of stuff now. We find ourselves on Teams and Skype, and all trying to make sure that we're using all these social platforms to stay in touch with loved ones, with friends, with family, with colleagues, but really staying connected to other people. So that support network, so you're not struggling alone, that you're part of somewhere else, and there's always someone else who can give you a different perspective. So maybe stay connected. I think if you listen to Gary's conversation on Tuesday, the power routine. So even if it's something simple as getting up and getting dressed, I know for me it allows me to mark my day. I know that I'm in a work mode. And this afternoon I'll go into an exercise mode, I'll get changed, and I'll come back in and I'll spend some time in front of the TV. So dressing for what I'm doing becomes important. Also finding time in the day to do those things that I've always used that excuse I've not got enough time to do. So I don't know about you, but suddenly my cupboards are the tidiest thing they've ever been, because I've got time to do those things that just take my mind and allow me to do something productive for myself. So if this is helping, and please just kind of, again, if there's any questions at all on this, please use the comment feed, please ask questions, let us know what's going on. But in other top tips, I would say, build some routines, notice what's going on, stay connected, but there's also keep exercising, allow our body to move, do what it's designed to do, That definitely helps. Keep focusing on your sleep. Good sleep hygiene, trying to get that 8 hours a night, that can be critical. And again, putting good food in your system, a healthy diet helps. And kind of manage our sense of well-being and keep ourselves with the capacity to be our best version of who we are. Something that's really I'm finding really useful for me is just trying to build a sense of gratitude, trying to look every day in terms of what can I be thankful for. We're almost conditioned to think of what we haven't got. And actually, one of the things we can try and do in this moment is try and appreciate what we do have. What can we be thankful for? If you've got time to watch this, then you're thankful. You know, there might be a billion people tonight who wish they had 15 minutes to connect to these type of things. So just recognize what we can be thankful for as another way to go through it. So listen, there's perhaps some questions that people want to ask. If you're liking these type of things, then please use the like button, use the subscribe button, turn on the notifications, try and make sure that you're staying connected. One of the things we're trying to do here is build a community, build a sense of resources where people can connect and share insight and information. So what we're trying to do is keep those things going on. There's more information. This is a very, very brief introduction to this topic. There's a free webinar tomorrow when we can dial in, have a check what's going on. And through some of our experts, Alison and Andrew, they'll take you through a much more detailed version of what's going on. You can sign up for that on our social networks, so please get into LinkedIn, into Facebook, into Twitter, into Instagram, where you can register for free. But at the moment, I think someone asked a question here. So if I've noticed this behavior in someone else, how can we help them get to their, that's a great question. How can we help someone else who's been challenged left or right? How can we get them back to their center of well-being? I think sometimes it's just being compassionate, certainly having a sense of care and giving them space. I think there's always something about allowing someone an opportunity to talk about what's going on. So building that environment where they can share what's going on. It might feel irrational to them, it might be kind of emotional, but just let it go through. And actually, one of the greatest gifts you can give someone is give them a bloody good listening to. Make space, take time for them, and hear what they've got to say. Just by connecting and appreciating them, then actually you can make a massive difference. There's another question here about noticing the intensity of working from home. I think I listened to someone this morning and they were saying exactly the same thing, that at the moment with this change, we're all really busy bouncing from meeting to meeting, and we're not able to have those little tiny 5-minute catch-ups. Instead, things seem to take time and longer, because we're all meeting into teams and we're having all the formal structures. So I think there's absolutely something here around giving yourself time out, allowing yourself to get up, change the scenery. If you can, get outside into the garden or whatever works for you. Just making sure that you've got that space to build the time so that you've got gaps in your day when you can shift that perspective and begin to get through what's going on. So listen, this has been a really quick introduction. If it's been useful, please press like, please share it, please answer something. Please, get into the comment section and we'll answer some of those things back. There's more details to come. There are more of these sessions that we're going to do. Please dial into our sessions, get into LinkedIn, get into Facebook, get into Twitter, get on Instagram. There's more information. I said tomorrow there's a live webinar talking about well-being. Get into that, listen to those experts sharing what's going on. But at the moment here, please, this is it. Stay safe. Do what you can to manage your own well-being. Look after yourselves, and stay tuned with more of this. There's going to be more information coming out. If you enjoyed it, I said please click the subscribe, click the like, use the comment section, but just make sure that you're staying in touch. Keep the notifications on, and we'll share more of this information throughout this period. Thanks very much for watching. All the best now. Take care.